Hey, welcome back to the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge, and today we have Avengers Endgame. This is the big finale of the 23 movie saga, the Infinity Saga from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This is a movie that probably shouldn't have existed and shouldn't have worked. I've said this before in the previous films, Avengers films that we reviewed. The only one we haven't done is Infinity War because, well, hey, it's all random, so we missed that one, and we'll get to it eventually whenever it gets picked. But in this situation, we jumped Avengers, Age of Ultron, and then Endgame. So yeah, watch for Infinity War some other time. But yeah, this has the unenviable task of trying to thread together all the characters, their storylines, their arcs, their everything that drove them to be who they are and where they are in this film. Has to be closed out, and there's dozens of characters here. Yes, only a handful of the main Avengers really are focused on for the most part, because there's a few that actually survived the snap. So, yeah, in case you didn't know, this is going to be full of spoilers. At this point, um, if you haven't seen this film or had opportunity to see this film, well, it's your own fault. It's only the biggest film ever made, so I realize maybe, yeah, there's a handful of you who have not seen the film. So, okay, I'm going to tell you right now, just stop watching this video. I'm not supposed to say that, but yeah, if you don't want spoilers, it's your own fault. It's just the way it is. I can't really talk about the movie without really spoiling a bunch of things. Not that that's my intention. Anyway, the main characters we have here are the original six Avengers that were there at the very beginning, that came together that Nick Fury brought together. We got Captain America, Iron Man, Thor, Black Widow, Hawkeye, and the Hulk. So, yeah, and they're all stretched out in different directions. They're not exactly living the high life. They don't feel like heroes much anymore because they lost big time. Half the people in existence just got snapped away by Thanos, because that's how he figures to make the world better, make the universe better again. So yeah, so I really don't have to go into the whole details of all this. What I want to touch on is because again, if you've already seen the films, you already know what happened. I don't need to recap it for you. But what I need to talk about is some of the things I loved about it, and some of the things that this movie was meant to accomplish. I realize there's people who were going to crap all over this movie because it didn't give them exactly what they wanted the way they wanted it. They were like, too many women, or not enough action, or, you made Thor fat and sad. Well, guess what? We could have a superhero film where it's all just punching and flying and explosions, or you could have good movies that have those things, but also have good characters, characters that aren't perfect, characters that grow, and characters that change and react to the real things that happen around them. If if you had the chance to save the universe and screwed it up, which allowed trillions, quadrillions, septillions, I don't know how high you want to go, but beings across the universe died because you didn't go for the head. You'd be Thor. You'd be depressed. You'd be like drinking constantly, and well, maybe you wouldn't. I don't know. People handle things differently. This is how Thor handled it. He is not handling it well. Let's just say that. He sits at home with his friends and drinks constantly and cares nothing for himself or anybody else. Uh, that's what depression does to people, to a lot of people. It's not a pretty sight, no, but it's a realistic reaction to really screwing something up. When your entire being is about being a warrior and succeeding and overcoming everything at all odds, that's him, and he messed up. And there's no thought that he's going to get this back, that somehow it's going to all work out in the end. What else can you do? And then there's Captain America, who he takes his turn just trying to help others, to cope with what the loss of so much. By the way, in the um, anonymous group chat, that same came out completely wrong, but the recovery gathering that they have, um, one of the Russo brothers, one of the directors of the film, actually is the guy confessing that he went on a date that night. So that's a neat little Easter egg. Has nothing to do with the story, just, whatever. But Cap is doing what he does, and he's lending an ear. He is considerate. He's kind. He's helpful. He's hopeful, which is what Steve Rogers is all about, even before he became Captain America. So that's consistent with his character, and he's bummed out himself. He's fighting the entire idea that he's just what did he fight for? He lost everything. He didn't live a life really. He fell in love and then got frozen for 70 years, and when he came out of it, he was back to being a warrior again. And again, he lost. He didn't measure up. And so he's still he's talking about moving on in these discussions. About he keeps telling other people to move on, but he's still holding on to Peggy's locket, the little picture of her with a compass. It's he's not moving on. He still misses that chance at a dance that he promised her. So yeah, how's he gonna handle that? He can't, if you can't move on yourself. What are you gonna do? You can maybe help others. And then there's Tony, who pretty much was left for dead in space, and somehow was able to make it back thanks to Captain Marvel. And he's resentful of everybody. He lost the kid who looked up to him, Peter Parker, Spider-Man, and it devastates him. He got his wife back in Pepper, but he was pretty much screw everybody else. It doesn't help. It doesn't work. There's no sense doing anything for anybody except myself. And we find him many years later, even after they make the attempt, even after they kill Thanos, he pretty much holds up at home, far away from everything, from influence, from power, from everything he's ever imagined, and keeps to himself. Just him, his wife, and his new daughter, Morgan, who's adorable, and she loves you 3000, or she loves Tony 3000. Anyway, and by the way, that little Easter egg there, supposedly, if you add up all the running times of all the movies, y'all probably already know this, but if you add up all the running times of all the movies in the MCU, they equal 3,000 minutes. So that's kind of cool. I might be completely wrong, and it might be a lie. I have no idea, but I think it's true. I think one of the Russos said something like that. Anyway, the movie is all about their arcs and concluding their arcs, because again, live or die, the reality is these actors can't play these roles forever. They wouldn't want to in many cases. Chris Hemsworth is on for doing Thor forever, I think. But, Chris Hemsworth is open to doing Thor. Did I say Hemsworth? I meant Hemsworth. Chris Evans, he could probably do Cap. He misses it, and who knows? He might return. There's a story in there when he goes back and returns all the Infinity Gems and Thor's hammer. There's an adventure, story to be told. Hopefully, he comes back and does a little short series on Disney Plus, or animated. Who knows? Either way, I want to see that story. Yes, a comic book would be great, but I'd rather see it live action or animated really well. And then so it's there's a lot to wrap up for all these actors. And and Robert Downey Jr. He's the big daddy. He's the guy who started it all, the main character, Iron Man. By the way, most people outside of comic book nerds like myself had no idea who Iron Man was. They might have seen a cartoon here or there, but he was never known popular like Wolverine or Captain America or Spider-Man or the Hulk. Spider-Man and the Hulk, everybody knows who they are. Iron Man, yeah, some people might, but not the way people knew him when Robert Downey Jr. took on the role. So it's kind of a big deal to let this big role go and move on to other things, because he's talented. He can do tons of other stuff, and he has. Not so successfully, Dr. Dolittle, but still, he can't be Iron Man forever. And let some of the new kids take some space, some of the roles. And God knows who. He may say he's never going to return to the role, but who knows? He could show up again, here or there, even if it's just a voice. But yeah, so it's a big deal wrapping up a story that's satisfying, that's full of action, full of drama, full of real emotion. And like I said at the beginning, the first Avengers movie should have never worked. The idea of these characters that are so diverse and different, and the way their stories are told, somehow working together, it shouldn't have worked. And it did. And other companies who make stories like this have tried to mimic that success, rush it into production. A league of heroes have even attempted to take on such a thing, and it just didn't work out. Mostly because it was rushed into production to be finished so that the people at the top could get their yearly bonuses. Money. And that's how it works. That's how this business works. And yes, it's not like the MCU is immune to money making decisions. They are about story, but yeah, these stories have to make some money in order to keep making them. So it's the idea that somehow almost every time they've made some winners. They've actually knocked it out of the park more often than not. And it all builds towards this big end game that it's amazing that it works so well. And hooray. Thank you, Kevin Feige and the Russos and everybody else who's contributed, the actors, the directors, the writers, special effects people. It's, when I watch this again, the great thing about watching this at home on Disney Plus is that you can stop it and do laundry or use the bathroom without worrying that you're going to miss anything. So I got to sort of still feel it and still experience it on my own terms. And it still pulls at me at different points. One of the great things that I realized by watching this and keeping track of the time is that this movie is technically 3 big stories put together. Three acts. Most stories have 3 acts, but the first part is bringing everybody together, and they're almost broken down to almost exact 1 hour beats, give or take a minute or two. But the first hour is finding everybody, bringing them back together, and going on the mission to save all of reality. And once that hour passes, the second part is everybody thrown apart to different parts of time and space, and they take on the mission, successful or otherwise. And then the third part, right when that third hour starts, is when they come face to face with Thanos for the first time. Again. And, I mean, you can set your clock by it. You can set an hour alarm, and you'll see exactly it hits at those moments. And then that last hour is the battle. Well, the last half hour is the battle, because by the time they defeat Thanos, there's still another half hour of the movie left. No after credit sequence. But you want to stick around for most of the credits, because it's a great tribute piece that shows each of the major actors in a special silhouette with their name and their signature and stuff like that. It's a really cool send-off. So it's the way it was just put together is just, I love it. So it shows that it's classy. It shows that it has depth and has meaning and has strength. It's not just a superhero movie. It's an epic. It's a saga. It's like the old stories, from the ancient stories that these characters draw upon is pretty dang great. And again, this should have sucked. And I'm sure there's somebody out there who believes that it does, and they probably didn't see the movie, or they probably didn't understand everything that's going on. I'll allow that. But if you think it sucked, if you watched it and liked liked these characters, and you thought it sucked, well, I really don't know what to tell you. I don't think they were ever going to tell you the story you wanted to see exactly photocopied from the comic. These characters are who they are and who they were built up to be throughout this entire 23 movie saga. And yeah, not everything gets cleaned up at the end. There's more to tell. One of the great things about this is that not only does it wrap up so many little threads, it plants the seeds of countless stories to come. It's kind of freaking great. From Cap passing the shield on to Falcon, the ominous thing that when Hawkeye and Scarlet Witch are talking to each other, Scarlet Witch says a little something. Thor going off with the Guardians of the Galaxy adds a new dynamic to all that. So yeah, there's so much to take from this. We see this as a big ending, but I think we're going to come back to this movie. Oh yeah, also by the way, Loki taking the Tesseract. They said it's clearly going to lead into his series on Disney Plus. So yeah, so many of these things were flowing off into Disney Plus, which is kind of freaking awesome. And the future for now, since movie theaters, for the most part, can't open wide. We still haven't seen Black Widow at this point. It's Disney's focus is going to be online streaming on Disney Plus. So that's where we're going to get our Marvel Universe fix from now on for a little while, until we all get healthier. But yeah, the way this all builds out is kind of just fantastic. We're going to see this as a beginning of so much, and I'm looking forward to that. Some of my favorite moments, I have to tell you, one of the things I told my friends when we sat down, I said, if Captain America doesn't say Avengers Assemble at some point, I'm writing the movie off. It never happened. And of course, it was going to happen. They teased him saying it at the end of Age of Ultron, but nope. It shows that they were saving it for this, for the big final battle. And by the way, Cap wielding Mjolnir, the Thor's hammer. Hold on. Yeah, one of my favorite scenes. Yes, this is not the way he actually received the hammer, but this is the really early concept art from Ryan Meinerding. Oh God, sorry, Ryan. I can't pronounce that right. But yeah, the idea, he's a conceptual artist for a lot of the looks, characters for each of the films. When you see the making of the art books, that's a lot of his work in that. He's the guy. There's a lot of artists that work on it, but I think he's the top guy. I got him to sign that last year. So when I saw that, he had so many different pieces to choose from. But when I saw that, I was like, okay, this to me was the moment that we've been waiting for. So I had to have it. But yeah, it's to me, this movie, I'm sure there are ways that maybe it could have been done better, but I can't think of it. I honestly can't think of it. What would that be? So yeah, I really don't know what else I could tell you about Avengers Endgame. You'll want to watch Avengers Infinity War first. That's a given, but we didn't have that choice this time. So yeah, if you're into the Marvel Universe if you're not in the Marvel Universe and for some reason you're watching this video, I don't know what to tell you, but start with Iron Man. Go back to the beginning and watch it all come together. It's kind of neat. I really enjoy it. I'm a big comic book nerd. I've been since the 80s, and actually before that, but Marvel comic nerd since the 80s. Um, 70s if you count Star Wars. Telling you how old I am. Okay, but you know what? We're not going to pick a number for tomorrow's episode. We've got it already picked out for us, because guess what tomorrow is? It's the premiere of The Mandalorian Season 2. So, considering that a year ago, the test episode, the 000, the very first episode technically of the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge was The Mandalorian, the launch day. I got to watch it a little bit earlier because we're on the West Coast and it's launched in the East Coast at midnight or whatever. I made that my 000 episode. So, you know what? We're going to make it a tradition. Each year there's a season of Mandalorian. We're going to watch the first episode. So tomorrow, watch for that. And then we'll resume our selection of random selection of things. But for now, tomorrow's will be the Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 1. We'll see what kind of surprises Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni have for us there. So, all right, we'll see you here tomorrow on the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge with The Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 1. Bye.